What's up, guys? It's Broman. I am back here in Destiny to go over, just talk a little bit. We're just going to have a little bit of a chat. What are we going to talk about? Well, I wanted to give you my impressions of the raid now that we've finally beat Crota's stupid ass into the ground. And I wanted to maybe talk a little bit about what raiding might look like in the future and kind of like the scaling difficulty I feel like that they're building into Destiny. For anyone who's done Crota's End, it's pretty obvious that compared to the Vault of Glass, it is much more difficult. It's not something that you just are like, oh man, I really want my first raid experience in Destiny to be ball-crushingly insane hard. The Vault of Glass was definitely a test of teamwork, but it was also an introduction to what raiding could look like in a first-person shooter type of game. And I think, when the Vault of Glass came out, I was raucously pleased. I could not say anything bad about it. It reawakened the feelings that I had from raiding and some of the other MMOs that I had played in my life, and it really made me excited for the future of Destiny. Now, after a while, the Vault of Glass it became really obvious that it's sort of a tutorial level situation, right? Like, the Vault of Glass is not easy the first time you do it, but after you've got it done, you can 3-man it. You can do it with 2 people. It's been beaten with 2 people on hard mode. It's a difficult task, but it's not the most difficult. And then came the introduction of Crota's End. Now that we have Crota's End, we can see that Bungie is definitely able to design things that test us on a lot of different levels. The core, I guess, if you had to sum up the Vault of Glass in one word, it would be introduction or tutorial. But if you had to sum up Crota's End in one word, it would be teamwork. Crota's End is a continuous test of your team's ability to work and play together. There isn't a section in the raid that you don't feel dependent on everybody else on your fire team to do their job successfully. Now, in the Vault of Glass, if you had a guy who was a complete fuck-up, you could keep playing regardless of whether or not they were playing well. You could finish the Oracle phase with 3 people. You could get through, Templar with 2 or 3 people if you had to. But as soon as you lose someone in Crota's End, especially on the Gatekeeper phase, it is done, basically. It's really saying, hey, remember how we don't have grouping for the raid, random grouping? This is why. Because you want to be able to count on the people in your fire team. You don't want it to be an experience where you're just hopping in with random people. Now I'm not saying that in a few months, folks might be able to hop in, be like, hey, I'm doing Crota's End, blah blah blah, because everyone will learn the mechanics. But for the introduction, for that first encounter, for the first month or so, I see Bungie's definitely pushing people to a teamwork mechanic. They also kind of changed the. I enjoyed the flip for the final phase of Crota, where you actually fight Crota. It was a really interesting change because in the Vault of Glass, you had one person who could not do damage but was required to do defense. And in Crota's End, you have an entire team that can't do damage and are kind of required to do defense for the one person who can do damage. It's a really interesting change in mechanics that I find really exciting and very fun. I definitely enjoyed that. Honestly, at the end of the day, what this does do is make me extremely hopeful for what is going to come from the House of Wolves for the next DLC. Now, I know it's a ways off, but if Bungie has proven anything in Destiny so far, it's that they're really good at making tutorials. Like, the first time I got my hands on this game, I felt, wow, like, this is great. They are the first few missions, and actually the whole getting to level 20 is a very solid tutorial on how this game works and what it works, how to fight and encounter specific types of enemies, how to handle them, all that stuff, to kind of get you ready for the harder stuff, the Nightfall, the other things that really lead you up into being able to do the raid. So fantastic tutorial making means that they have a plan, And I am thinking that the plan for the final raid is that it, as hard as Crota's End is, and as difficult as it is, especially in the introduction, I think the final raid in this game is going to be amazing. Well, the final planned raid. I think that the House of Wolves raid is going to be just psychotically difficult and really kind of get up there with the difficulty levels of some of the most challenging gaming experiences that you may have had inside or outside of an MMO, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. It gives me I got a lot of confidence. I'm feeling confident in Bungie. I think they're going to do a good job. I also am excited that they made the change so that if you start the raid right at the introductory level, you can't just kind of force it all the way through. I'm sure sooner or later we're going to have a fire team of 30s that manage to take down Crota, but as of right now, it is obviously very particularly designed to let you get all the way up to Crota, and then at the end, you get super mega boned. Which was not a fun experience the first time, because you feel like, oh, this is challenging, but we can do it. The entire raid, you're like, this is a challenge, but I can do this. I can master my way through it. And then at the end, you kind of slowly lose hope. Which, I don't know, it's not fun, but it's also really cool. I mean, to be able to design a scenario with that in mind, and especially when you're fighting enemies like the Hive that are supposed to be just so overwhelmingly evil, destructive, and hope-draining, to feel the hope drain from your own body as you realize, I can't finish this right now, is a really interesting experience, and I think that it's a very strong testament to their game design. If you haven't tried to do the raid yet, I highly recommend grabbing some of your friends and going in there and giving it your best shot. You might come out with some fancy loot, you know? You might come out with a sword breaker, which is what I got. Oh, guys, I have an upgrade. I didn't even realize that. Oh, that's right. I've been burning through a lot of glimmer. That's why I haven't upgraded it. Silly me. But get in there and give it a shot. Give it a try. Experience something new. I have a lot of hope for the rest of the future of Destiny because of how this raid went. The other thing that can always happen with developers is, you know, they can have a really strong start and then the first DLC that they release for a game is garbage. That has happened on a lot of games that I was passionate about, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess it's not a good idea to still care about this game, because the developers obviously are just giving up. I am really looking forward to seeing what else Bungie's going to bring to the table. The reintroduction of Iron Banner, all of the events, the unlocking of the hard mode raid later, which is, you know, not right now. The hard mode raid isn't even available, but when that thing unlocks, it is going to be intense, and I am very, very much looking forward to it. So, I hope you all are as well. So these are kind of my initial thoughts and feelings on the raid in particular, and how I think Bungie might be continuing to approach things for the future of Destiny. Needless to say, I think that the future of Destiny is pretty goddamn bright. I don't see any of these things getting messed up in the future. I see everything being worked out quite well. I'd love to hear what you all have to think about the raid, if you've completed it, if you haven't completed it. Are you scared of it? Is it spooky? Are you looking forward to trying it? Had you had a chance? I want to know what you guys think, so feel free to leave your comments. I'm going to look through them and maybe address some of them in future videos, because if there's anything I love, it's hearing what you guys have to think about the game and about how you like to play it. And the really cool thing about this is I feel like Bungie did a good job listening to a lot of the things that people have been saying. I know they've probably been designing the DLC for a while, but it felt like it answered a lot of the questions and problems that people have had with this game since release. And it felt really good to see all that kind of come to fruition the week of the game coming out and leading up to the game. So let me know what you guys think. I can't wait to hear from you. I really appreciate you guys watching. I hope you enjoyed my insane ramblings. Make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe, and do not forget that I love each and every one of you, and I will see you guys next time in Destiny.